Corporate compliance. Compliance program in HIPAA. The Reliant Care Management Chief Compliance Officer (CCO) is responsible for managing the compliance program for the company. Each employee, when hired and annually, must agree to follow the compliance program and the Code of Ethics. These documents provide an overall framework for operating in an ethical and lawful manner. The compliance program also includes security policies both for computer security, password, mobile devices, as well as compliance with HIPAA and HITECH. The program includes employee screening, risk assessments, audits, billing, overpayments, improper referrals, and gifts. If you have any questions about our compliance program or HIPAA, you should not hesitate to reach out to Barbara Barrett, and she is happy to assist. There are no stupid questions. Compliance is everyone's job, and all questions/concerns are welcome anytime. If you see anything that you are questioning or think an audit would be helpful, please call Barbara, as that way she can help to protect you and the company. Secure communication. It is important that any communication that involves a resident, even if you do not mention the resident's name or use initials, is secure. Email within Reliant Care Management and the facilities it manages is secure. However, if you email to anyone else and your email contains resident information, protected health information, or secure business information, you should send it securely. To do that, you simply put the following in the header: encrypt. That email will then be sent securely. Faxing is considered secure, so that is allowed. Texting is not secure, so if you text any resident information, you need to use a secure text system such as Mediporosity or Secure Conversations (PCC). You can also review the policy Secure Email and Text, which includes an attachment explaining how to use secure email. https://ReliantCareMGMT policy stat com/policy/10551126/latest/. If you have any questions about the security of compliance, corporate integrity agreement, in July 2017, Reliant Care Management and several of the facilities entered into a corporate integrity agreement with the government. This corporate integrity agreement affects all the skilled nursing facilities managed by Reliant Care Management. A copy of the corporate integrity agreement is on the public drive as well on the internet, or you can obtain a copy from Barbara Barrett. The corporate integrity agreement requires us to do several things, including that each new employee must complete compliance and HIPAA training within 60 days of hire, and all current employees must complete compliance and HIPAA training annually due each December 31st. Additionally, all administrators, DONs, and MDS coordinators are required to sign an annual certification that their facilities is complying with all terms of the corporate integrity agreement and all federal healthcare programs. The corporate integrity agreement runs through July 2022. However, even once the time period for the corporate integrity agreement is completed, completion of compliance training is important so that each employee understands their responsibilities and to show our commitment to compliance going forward. Compliance hotline 1-800-277-7023. The CCO is also responsible for the compliance hotline. This number should be posted in your building, and any resident, employee, visitor, or other person is welcome to call 24 hours a day. Posters with the hotline number are available on the internet or from Barbara Barrett. Also, business cards with the hotline number are available for both employees and residents from BJGIS. It is a recorded line and calls may be left anonymously. When a call is received about your facility, you will receive an email from the CCO. Calls involving residents are handled by you in your staff consultation with your regional directors. Calls regarding employees and human resource issues are handled by you in consultation with the Reliant Care Management Human Resource Department. The most important thing to remember is that compliance calls are not bad. We want residents and employees to share their concerns, even if you disagree with them or they are factually incorrect. Never criticize or get upset at an individual for calling, and if a caller asks to be anonymous, do not try to figure out who called. We want employees and residents to feel comfortable calling and expressing concerns. Compliance hotline policy https://Reliant Care MGMT policy stat com/policy/9638460/latest/ corporate compliance healthcare regulatory issues/survey issues. Please contact the CCO if you have a regulatory question or if a question comes up on your survey regarding a regulatory issue. Barbara will answer your question as quickly as possible. She can also assist with updating or drafting policies as needed for the facility or in response to a survey issue. Please be sure to provide as much information as possible, as issues are often very fact-dependent. Policies and Procedures Database. Barbara manages the repository for all policies and procedures, which is called Policy Stat. Everyone with an email has a Policy Stat account. To log into your Policy Stat account, click the Policy Stat icon/link on your desktop and enter this information. Prime Care username at REL. LOCL Prime Care password. The official version of all policies is what is in Policy Stat, so when using a policy or providing it to a state survey, or please pull the policy from Policy Stat. The policies also have helpful attachments such as forms and other documents. If you are aware of a policy that is not in Policy Stat or a policy that needs updating, please let Barbara know. Additionally, if a form or attachment is out of date or not in Policy Stat, let Barbara know. If you have any questions about a policy or Policy Stat, please contact Barbara for assistance. Medical record requests or subpoenas. All requests for medical records by family members or lawyers, whether by letter or subpoena, must be sent to the CCO officer for review. Barbara will review to ensure that the request is HIPAA compliant and answer any questions about what to produce, fees, etc. This is generally handled by the facility medical records coordinator. There are several medical records policies on Policy Stat, including process for responding to third-party requests for medical records https://Reliant Care MGMT policy stat CO m/policy/9356729/latest/ and process for maintaining and storing medical records https://Reliant Care MGMT policy stat com/policy/9419414/latest/. When a resident or their guardian asks for medical records, they are entitled to their own records. See HIPAA. Access of individuals to PHI and their medical record https://Reliant Care MGMT policy stat CO m/policy/9354240/latest/. If you or your medical records coordinator have any questions, please contact Barbara. Corporate Compliance. Relies Learning Management System. Relies our learning management system that is used for training. Each new employee is assigned training upon hire that is due within 60, 90, or 120 days of hire. There is also annual compliance and HIPAA training due each December 31st and annual human resources and clinical training due each May 30. Additionally, all CNA/CMTs have training due throughout the year to complete their 12 hours of required annual training. All of the courses are available for self-enrollment, so any of your employees may choose to take a course to improve their proficiency in an area. Courses can also be assigned to respond to a deficiency in a survey. Additionally, for those employees using point-click care, courses developed by PCC are assigned and Relies. The human resource manager is the primary person in the facility. The human resource manager is the primary person in the facility responsible for entering new employees into Relies and making them inactive when they terminate. Once they are entered, the system will automatically assign their training. Any questions? Feel free to contact Barbara. Discharges. When a facility wishes to discharge a resident for any reason including behaviors or non-payment, the facility should draft the discharge notice and send it to Barbara for review. There are specific reasons permitted for discharge and certain language that must be in the discharge letter. For example, the discharge letter must include the location to which the resident is being discharged, the resident transfer/discharge, immediate discharge, and therapeutic leave policy is on Policy Stat H. https://ReliantCare MGMT Policy Stat com/policy/10452156/latest/. This policy has templates attached, or Barbara can send you the last letter from your facility as a template. All discharges except non-payment require documentation from a physician, so you need to be sure that you have that in the residence record before preferred or very soon after you issue the discharge notice. If a resident appeals the discharge notice, you should immediately notify Barbara and send her all the paperwork on the appeal. If you are transferring to a hospital or other location and resident will be returning to your facility, you should use the transfer discharge written form and does not come through the CCO. The regulations on discharges and transfers can be very complicated, so please ask if you have any questions. Corporate compliance. Guardianship or power of attorney issues powers of attorney conservatorships. Durable powers of attorney and guardianships are appointments that involve legal documents where one person, the grantor, authorizes another, the attorney in fact, to act on their behalf. Each of these documents are fact-specific. Powers of attorney and durable powers of attorney can be broad or limited in scope and can be for healthcare decisions. The title of these documents does not control the content of the document. The CCO must be consulted when dealing with these legal documents. Please call Barbara if you have any questions about the meaning of any of these legal documents. General interpretative guidelines for these documents are as follows. Powers of attorney. A grant by a person of specific delineated powers that operates if the grantor is mentally competent. Granted power scan. Include healthcare and financial matters if specified. The grantor retains the authority to handle their own affairs and can override or eliminate any of the granted powers if they are mentally competent to do so. Mentally incompetent includes being disabled or incapacitated and unable to receive or evaluate information or to communicate decisions. The attorney in fact cannot make decisions that explicitly go against the grantor's stated wishes, even if they sincerely believe doing so would be in the grantor's best interest. If the grantor becomes incompetent, incapacitated, or dies, the attorney in fact loses all granted powers. Conservatorship. A grant by a person of specific delineated financial powers that operates if the grantor is mentally competent. The grantor retains the authority to handle their own affairs and can override or eliminate any of the granted powers if they are mentally competent to do so. The attorney in fact cannot make decisions that explicitly go against the grantor's stated wishes, even if they sincerely believe doing so would be in the grantor's best interest. If the grantor becomes incompetent, incapacitated, or dies, the attorney in fact loses all granted powers. Corporate compliance. Durable power of attorney. A grant by a person of specific delineated powers that operates as even after the grantor becomes incompetent or incapacitated. Granted powers can include healthcare and financial if specified. The grantor retains the authority to handle their own affairs and can override or eliminate any of the granted powers if they are mentally competent to do so. If the grantor becomes disabled or incapacitated and unable to receive or evaluate information, communicate decisions, the attorney in fact retains all granted powers until the grantee dies. It is important to remember that the grantee may have periods of being mentally competent and incompetent. With respect to a durable power of attorney for healthcare, Missouri law requires that physicians certify that the grantor is unable to make their own healthcare decisions before the durable power of attorney for healthcare goes into effect. Guardianship, a court-ordered appointment that allows the guardian to make all decisions for another person, the ward, because the ward has been judged incapacitated. The guardian can make decisions that explicitly contradict the ward's stated or previously stated wishes, including decisions regarding end-of-life decisions. Guardianship powers can include financial matters and only be changed by the court. Guardianship can also be limited. In those cases, the ward retains certain rights specified by the court. Guardianship continues until termination by the court or the death of the ward. See also guardians, conservators, and powers of attorney policy. https://Reliant Care MGMT policy stat com/policy/9922131/latest/ document retention issues. If you have a question about how long a document, there is a document retention policy. https://Reliant Care MGMT policy stat com/policy/8893471/latest/. Also, feel free to contact Barbara with questions. Rules of engagement. Problems happen when two or more people operate under two or more different rules or understandings. Why it's called rules of engagement. Whenever a problem arises, have a problem/issue form to set boundaries, rules, and accountability. Example below. Problem/issue. Primary, DON, secondary, or CC, input. Veto power should always be administrator. Resident focus interviews. Updated resident focus list to be turned into regional director weekly on Thursdays by 3 p.m. Interviews must be completed per policy by 9:30 a.m. Documentation of the interviews must be placed in EMR by 12 noon daily. Resident focus interview policy, SC below.